Greetings, comrades. My name is Gigantals, and today I think if you fast on Sundays, then it's day 29 of Lent, and if you don't, then it's day 25. I messed up my counting again this year. I said I wouldn't, but the reason why I messed up counting is because when I record my content, because of the assessments and stuff I have, sometimes I can't record on Wednesdays. So instead of me going, okay, here's day 1 of Lent, and then I'm gonna go, then now it's day 8, then day 15, and so on. I've messed up counting in that regard. The point is we're approaching the 3/4 way mark through Lent. So hopefully we've all been successful in fasting and abstaining from certain foods or activities, whatever, that we've been aiming for throughout this Lenten period. Lent is obvious, okay, no, not Lent. Easter is the most important week in Christianity. It's the most important holiday as well. Whilst we can celebrate other holidays, such as Christmas, and we Catholics definitely celebrate quite a few holidays in regards to the church, the Easter week is the most important of them all, because it culminates the whole gospel, it culminates the whole Bible as to Christ's sacrifice for us, which the whole purpose of which happens not only because of all of our sins, but it was also promised in the beginning of Genesis. And so Easter is the most important week in Christianity. The main thing I've been abstaining from throughout Lent isn't the food. It's actually I've been trying to abstain from arguing with reprobate heretics. And I found that there's 2 reasons why. The first reason, which was my main reason for abstaining from this activity, was because I need to focus on my dissertation. And I've definitely found I've got a lot more free time in regards to work on my dissertation, because I'm not just arguing for hours a day with people I know who aren't going to change their mind. I would normally argue with such people simply so I could better my arguments, but I realized priorities, okay, dissertation's my highest priority, you've got to focus on that. The second reason I found out later as to why it's good to not argue with these reprobate heretics is what they'll do to you. And it relates to the second half of this video's title. You see, in one of my groups, it's a group where there's a lot of arguing between Catholics and anti-Catholics. I think I told you about this before in another video. The admin of this group is Catholic, and he's pretty much the sole admin. There's a large amount of anti-Catholics in this group, but there's also a large amount of Catholics. And the anti-Catholics in this group are very toxic in their arguments. It's not just the typical anti-Catholic arguments there. Okay, so the Pope is 666, beast, whatever. But often there's a lot of logical fallacies in regards to ad hominems, targeting Catholics themselves and saying you Catholics are rapists, you Catholics are molesters and stuff, referring to the sex abuse crisis in the church, which many Catholics, such as myself, have tried to correct those anti-Catholics, saying, actually, you're exaggerating this. We condemn the sex abuse crisis. Our church is trying to sort it out. You should be focused. You should be prioritizing. You should be focusing. If you think the sex abuse crisis in our church is bad, you should also focus on the situation in other churches and stop pretending that they don't exist. And I can make a whole other video about that, the sex abuse crisis within the various Christian churches. But the point is, these anti-Catholics are extremely toxic in their approach towards us, and abstaining from them throughout the entirety of Lent, abstaining from arguing with them has actually helped me. It's helped me take a step back to really prioritize things in my life. But because I've taken a step back, I can actually look at how this group has been changing over the past few weeks, and it makes me glad I stopped arguing there. You see, the toxicity of these anti-Catholics is actually spreading onto the Catholics in the group. And I know it can be irritating to argue with these toxic anti-Catholics as I used to do, for hours on end, because you're not getting anywhere. You're dealing with the same arguments. You're dealing with the same people who may end up just slandering you in another post, or you have to track them down. It's not a good group really to go in. If you want to practice defending your faith, I recommend you don't go there. Okay, it's pointless. I've recommended my friends who are trying to be more like Catholic apologists, don't go in this group. Just don't. It's not worth it. But it's a shame, because I've seen people that I've argued, I think I said this, it might have been in a video. Is the title of the video up? I think it might be in the title of the video. I referred to how there was like a community of Catholic apologists. I know people in that group. I know them from, I also know them from other groups that they may be admins or moderators in. I know them in other groups that we discuss about the faith. So it's like a community, a community in which we basically support each other. And if we see if we see one another arguing with, if we see one of us arguing with anti-Catholics on a post, we all go in to help them. We like their comments and stuff to give them a bit of a morale boost. We also engage in arguing with the anti-Catholics to take the burden of just arguing with this irrational person. And it's the intentions behind this. It's meant to be a sense of community. But the problem is that this community has become very much infected with the toxicity of these anti-Catholics. I've seen people who just a few weeks ago, had very well-structured, reasoned arguments. And over these past few weeks, they've gradually started descending to the level of these anti-Catholics. They've become more slanderous. They've become more dependent on logical fallacies, more ad hominems, insulting the anti-Catholics, making posts that aren't dedicated to refuting anti-Catholic claims, but just simply singling out specific people that they've argued with, laughing at them, all caps, insulting them, taking screenshots, calling them stupid, absurd, insane. I've actually seen people within that community actually break away from this to almost form their own community, in which they try and remain civil in their approach, and they actually go onto these toxic Catholic posts and say, "What are you doing? This isn't what we're meant to be doing. We're meant to be civilized. You're going too far with this." And these toxic Catholics are turning on these non-toxic Catholics. So it's pretty much a three-way battle now. You've got Catholics who have to not only counter anti-Catholic arguments, but they also have to try and correct these toxic Catholics. You had the toxic Catholics who are being corrected by these non-toxic Catholics and are busy now insulting them as being weak, and they're also insulting the anti-Catholics. And then you just have the anti-Catholics who target Catholics whether they're toxic or not. So it's become problematic now, and it makes me glad I'm not involved in that group as much as I used to be, because it used to be a united front for the Catholics. We would all group together to argue against the anti-Catholics. But I'm not going to lower my standards to support toxic Catholics in their arguments against anti-Catholics. Okay, I'm not going to support someone simply because we have a shared interest. If someone is using logical fallacies or is slandering someone else or insulting them, I'm not going to support them in their approach, even if we share the same common enemy. I know the saying, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend." I know that saying does exist, and to a degree, you could rely on that reasoning if you're in an argument with someone, but sometimes we shouldn't be prepared to lower our standards in order to gain an ally like that. I'm not going to lower my standards to gain the support of these toxic Catholics against these toxic anti-Catholics. I'm not going to do that at all. And it's a shame, like I said, because this community has just become infected and ripped in two, because some of them are now toxic and some of us aren't. And I have tried contacting the Catholic admin for this group, and actually my friend did as well, and he actually showed me the message log that he had with the admin. I can't show that because it's personal between the two of them, and I don't want my friend to be kicked out. But I can tell you this: the admin of that group is one of the most incompetent admins I've ever seen. My friend tried talking to him, saying, "Look, please moderate the posts. Please keep an eye on the comments. Just please stop everything that's going on in this. Just please take, be stricter in what's going on in this group, because it's just getting worse and worse in terms of the content." And this admin just shrugged it off, took it as a joke. And when he called the situation when he called the anti-Catholics and toxic Catholics, he called them feral. He called them feral or something. My friend said, "Yeah, they're pretty much feral. They're definitely going a bit crazy." The admin decided to try and make werewolf jokes and stuff about the situation, and it was done in a way which you could tell that the admin wasn't taking this seriously. I mean, that group has absolutely no. It hasn't had input from the admin for the last year or so, and the amount of control he actually has in that group is like the bare minimum. The group is public. there's no membership questions to get in. There's no post approval. You can just post and whatever you want. It doesn't matter what it is. You can just post anything and it'll go through, which is one of the reasons why the quality of the group has just become so toxic. So, like I said, it's a shame to see this group basically turning toxic, along with half of this Catholic apologist community in the group, because the admin is incompetent in his role in actually helping moderate the group and getting rid of all these slanderous and insulting arguments and stopping the toxicity from spreading. And it's a shame, but also it makes me glad that I'm not engaging in arguments in that group anymore, because the last thing I need to do is not only waste time on those arguments, but also become just as toxic as those Catholics. I'm not going to share the name of that group, because the last thing I want to do is risk advertising it and then you guys be saying, maybe we can sort out the situation, and then you go join the group and then you also end up becoming toxic with that. Trust me, if you come across this group, you may recognize it just from my description of it, but please don't join this group. Just don't. It's not worth it. My friends tried joining it and I said, look, it's not worth joining this group. And one of my friends ended up leaving because he just concluded it wasn't good. Just please don't join this group. It is not worth it. It is not worth you becoming toxic. Okay? Matthew 1:3-15. Always be prepared to give a defense for what you believe, but do so with gentleness and respect. Okay? If you cannot defend the Catholic faith out of love, don't do it. Do not engage in these arguments. If you hate someone, if you do this out of hate for anti-Catholics, then don't do it. It's not worth corrupting your soul like that. It's not worth corrupting your thinking. It's not worth sinking to their level in order to argue with them. Have the moral high ground. But that's it pretty much for this week. I don't want this video to get on too long. I've got a lot of stuff to do this week in regards to my dissertation, and I'm going to try to keep this video as short as I can. Hopefully you guys all have a good week. Hopefully the Catholics in that group become less toxic or stop. I keep saying a lot. For me, is like buffering. So hopefully the Catholic situation in that group improves. Hopefully the admin either becomes more competent. If that group does get shut down by Facebook, I wouldn't mind at all, because that group provides nothing beneficial to Catholicism except from Satan's perspective of corrupting Catholic apologists into toxic Catholics. Once more, don't join that group. It's not worth it. So hopefully you guys all have a good week. We're approaching the 3/4 waypoint of Lent, and remain strong. We can get through the rest of this period of time of fasting and abstaining. So have a good week. God bless you all. See you in the next video, comrades. Until then.